on Instagram. Hello, everyone. Hi, YouTube and Facebook and all of my platforms that I'm streaming to here. Okay. Hi, guys. Hello. I'm Marina Shepelsky. Just fixing the phone a little bit. All right. Hello, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to my show. Welcome. Let's just say hello. Today we have a topic. We are going to talk about the VAWA green card, obtaining a green card through an abusive, bad marriage to a U.S. citizen. Also, it could be a green card holder. It could also be a child getting a green card through an abusive U.S. citizen parent, a green card holder, or even somebody who is a little bit of an older adult and their kid over 21, their adult child is abusive, they're a citizen only. So if you are in a bad marriage or bad relationship, you could be eligible for VAWA, even if, we've had cases if they tricked you into getting married because they could have been already married to someone else, even if they were married before and it was wrong. If you didn't have anything to do with this fraud, you could get VAWA. But before we get into it, I want to check if you can hear me, if you're listening, if you can hear the sound. Please drop a little plus in the comments below. I want to see that you can hear me and you can see me really well. That is really important to me that you can hear and see me well. I'm asking you to drop a little plus in the comment. Also, drop me a separate comment. Sandy Toes Salty Hair says, hello, Marina. Good to see you. Thank you. Good to see you. Nice to see you. Hello. Write me in the comments where you are watching me from. We'll also talk about immigration news. We have plenty, and I will answer your questions. I want to make sure that this is very clear. This is not meant to give anyone legal advice. This is only meant to be like an educator. I'm educating you guys about immigration law, and this is about explaining how things work with immigration. Oh, Sandy told Salty Hairs in New York City. That is where our office is in New York City. If you need like individual help, it would be good if you could call our office or go on our website and schedule a consultation. And today happens to be the day that the landscaper decided to come and cut the grass. And today is the first day of them cutting their grass. So it's going to probably interfere with the sound, but it is what it is, you guys. We're just doing our best. My longtime friend here, Brian, says, I'm happy to hear you since you have so many difficulties. Oh, I'm so happy you're back, Brian. Thank you for watching. Lots of questions coming in. Please post your questions and also post where you are watching me from, and I will respond. So let's get into a little bit about myself before I start, because we have many new people watching and joining. I'm an immigration lawyer in America. Yes, I'm wearing the flag here for you. It's not just American to hate immigrants. It's also very American to love immigrants the way I do and to support them legally and spiritually and in other ways. Um, so our office is in New York. How did I become a lawyer? I really didn't mean to. I thought I was going to be a doctor. I went to college at NYU in New York to become a doctor first. I changed my mind and I went to law school instead because as I had jobs in the legal field, kind of just to make some money for books and travel and such stuff, I really loved it. I fell in love with law. I felt that I could be a good contribution to the profession and help people in a different way. So that's how I got to law school. I went to Fordham Law School for law, one of the best schools in New York City. I think the right next to NYU. So Columbia, NYU, and Fordham. And I went to NYU undergrad. And then I became a lawyer in 2002, and I got two states admissions, New York and New Jersey. Also admitted in several federal courts and even federal court. So I am licensed, and I've been doing this work since 2002, for like 20 years approximately. I appear in courts across the United States for immigration specifically because it's federal law and you're allowed to do that. So that's what we do. We have several lawyers working in our office, both doing and we have a bunch of paralegals, other staff, financial department, and so on. So when you call, don't talk to me, obviously. We have a team picking up the phone. If you need a consultation, give us. Today we want to talk about VAWA. I don't know if you can drop me a comment to say, have you heard of VAWA before? And I think you have because Manish says, what happened, VAWA renewal EAG, is it in any effect? We'll get to you in a minute. Brian is in the DC suburbs. Thank you so much. Drop me a comment while I'm talking. Wait for a moment, and if you can hear me, please. I want to talk to you. I don't want this to be Um, okay, so VAWA. If you're married to a U.S. citizen, you're doing in some cases, it's reality very, very different from what you thought. This is where VAWA comes in. It's a law that was passed over 30 years ago and sponsored at the time by young Democratic senator called Joe Biden, one of the youngest one in the Senate at that time. So VAWA is Violence Against Women and Men Act. It's a law that allows, it does many things, but in immigration, it allows immigrants who are here, perhaps with no visa at all, cross the border, or, came in here in some like weird way, to legalize as a humanitarian type of case through marriage or a green card holder. So if your spouse refuses to sponsor you, doesn't want to go to the interview, doesn't want to sign the paper, I just had a consultation with a lady. Her spouse at the interview, at the marriage interview, she found out that her U.S. citizen husband had another like lady. He bought a house with the other lady. It had bills going to another address, and I guess a lot of times when he said he was working, he was with a so at the interview, it seems like my client was the one lying that she created this marriage only to get paid. But in reality, her treated her really, really bad. So this is why, in these cases, VAWA is the emergency measure that we use to like swoop in and help the day. For instance, say it says, hello, good morning, nice to see you. So that's the case. Now, how do you bring VAWA? First of all, you have to be honest about everything. And this is where you have to admit how you entered the United States because VAWA is a forgiveness. One of my colleagues said in a funny way in a TikTok that VAWA is like Jesus, it forgives. So in that way, yes, VAWA is like Jesus. So if you violated a visa and you came with another person's passport, VAWA forgives it as long as you're honest and you admit and confess. Number one. Two, we have to gather all of your joint documents. All of your joint documents like bills and two names, tax returns, leases, travel together, insurances in two names, life insurance and stuff like that. And we put that together. We will get witness letters from 3 or 4 people that know you as a couple or knew you as a couple. and maybe have seen some of their abuse. Now, you don't need to leave your spouse to file for VAWA. You could file and stay with them if you really want to, but you really shouldn't. Uh, Another thing that you need to do for VAWA is prove good moral character. That means you got to get a police clearance. That means you got to show that you are a person of good character. Maybe you've been paying taxes, you've never been arrested, you go to church, you volunteer, you help the community. And finally, very important, you have to prove that you were, in fact, mistreated, abused in this marriage. Now, there's no requirement that this was physical, like somebody beat you or punched you or anything like that. Not required whatsoever. But you do have to prove emotional abuse, financial abuse, some cases of bullying, putting you down, stuff like that. Bad stuff that they did to you. Maybe they drained you back, they refused to let you see your kids, they isolated you from family, they constantly told you you're a piece of nothing, stuff like that. And you definitely need to go to a psychologist or a psychiatrist and do treatment to show that you really are not well for this language. Otherwise, you don't deserve this green card. We can file for VAWA at the same time as filing for your green card and work permit, and even advance parole documents. Yes, we can get you advance parole documents. I've done it hundreds of times. Now, if you already had filed before, we might want to switch your case from the marriage case if that marriage turned bad to VAWA. We do this all the time. So this is why VAWA is a great tool to help you out in a really bad, hopeless situation. We've been doing a lot of this work for the last 20 plus years. VAWA was one of my first, if not my first case that I ever did when I started practicing law. The one that case was a lady from Albany, upstate New York, and she got her citizenship. And at that time, I even went to her citizenship interview with her in Albany. And I got on the bus and I went there. So it went great. And I think that this is a really great case for men and women. We have a lot of men clients. Hello from Porfirio Diaz. Good morning, Aquitos Bonitos. A long time no see. Best attorney ever. I didn't even pay Porfirio. He just does this on his own. Thank you so much. And we know each other here through the show for like over 2 years. At the time he started, he had a VAWA application that he was approved, and then he got his advanced parole, traveled to the back, and then he got his green. So we've been through all the stages for Porfirio. Thank you for posting. Hello. Um, all right. Let's see. Vibe Hostel Sharia 7 is watching from India. BG970110 wants news for Georgians, the Republic of Georgia. Not yet, really, not yet. There's questions coming in. All right, let's talk about a little bit about T visa, and then I'm going to get to the news. VAWA, I think we're sort of clear on it. You can file for VAWA in many, many situations, but if you're interested, give us a call, schedule yourself a consultation online. Either one works, and we can talk about your case in more detail, right? So let's move on. T visa. T visa is if you work somewhere in a restaurant, in a store, in uh, like a farm, at somebody's house cleaning, if you work somewhere driving a truck and your employer, the person who was your boss or the company, took advantage of you, exploited you, treated you really badly, this is what you can file. You can file for a T visa and get a green card that way. If you were sexually used by someone, even if you had a US citizen boyfriend or girlfriend or non-US citizen, and they used you for your money, they made you work sexually sometimes, they took all your money away, this could be T visa too. So there are a lot of situations where T visa would work. If you are thinking what I'm thinking, you work somewhere and they treated you badly, They didn't pay you enough. They didn't pay for sick days. They didn't give you like overtime pay. Uh, they didn't give you the proper safety equipment, the special belt for lifting stuff, the special hat, the goggles, whatever it is that you needed, they didn't give you. You can file for a TB, but again, you have to show that you use. You got to go to a psychologist. You have to show that you have a medical issue. This is the kind of case that wins. Okay, T visa, T for traffic. Now that would involve us filing a complaint with the Department of Labor against the abuser and cooperating. That's something that we do. Okay, moving on, let's talk about the news. The biggest news is that the Trump wants to make people who already have deportation orders and didn't leave, which is millions of people, by the way, to pay a fine of almost $1,000 a day using this old 1996 law that says that you can go up to $1 million in fines because if every day is $1,000, 300,000 is a year. Okay, 1 year is already almost a million, 360,000. Math is not my best. So basically, that's the news that he wants to make people pay a fine, be punished for being here after their deportation order, and paying. Not clear yet if this is going to happen or not, how it's going to go. Then the next thing that we want to talk about in the news is that IRS has agreed to share uh, the information about illegal immigrants with immigration authorities, but the acting commissioner of the IRS is planning to resign, leave his job following the agency's data sharing agreement with the Department of Homeland Security to support the Trump administration's effort to support undocumented immigrants. So this is a woman by the name of Melanie Krause, and she is the third leader of the agency to resign this year. Senate confirmed Commissioner Danny Werfel resigned from his role on Inauguration Day less than 2 years into his 5-year term, leading the IRS. So the IRS is going to be sharing immigrant data, information with the Department of Homeland Security, but the leader is resigning. She doesn't want to be known as the kind of person who is responsible for this. I guess she's being forced to do it. So that's the sad, sad news today about immigration. Um, the Supreme Court has upheld Trump's right to use the old alien enemies of the state law to deport people. So we're going to see more deportations more than ever. The Department of Homeland Security is starting to screen immigrants' social media activity for anti-Semitism. So if you're gonna post that you hate Jews, you hate Zionists, Israel should, be erased, you could get deported for it. I actually agree with you guys because I'm Jewish. Okay? Um, so that's all for today. That's all I got today. If you are an immigrant, there's no freedom of speech for you whatsoever. So that's the reality that if you're gonna post about crap like that, you're gonna get deported because it's racism taken to like the whole other level, you know. Um, all right, what else? What else? What else? I guess that's all I had to say today. Let me start answering your questions. I see your guys' questions are coming in. Juan T. Borcha 29 says, I will be traveling to Germany in June by student exchange in my high school. I have advanced parole for that. I don't have criminal record. Is it safe to come back? Juan T, it is more or less safe, but I recommend that you erase all your social media posts. Anything, if you, God forbid, supported Palestine, you are against Jews, you're against Trump, anything like that, any hate type of speech you posted has to go. Otherwise, you won't be able to come back. Um, there's no news BG 970-110 for anybody from Georgia, any different from everyone else. Fariha Farouk says, can an illegal immigrant marry a citizen? Will Trump be causing problems for such situations? You can, yes, you can marry a citizen, but if you came with no visa, you might need a waiver or some other case stuff. Give us a call, see what we can do for you. Yes, I am answering questions today. Jorginho says, advance parole for VAWA case, is it safe for international travel? I just talked about this, Jorginho, 19115. If you don't have anything in your social media, your criminal record, you've never been arrested. If you've ever been arrested, do not travel, period. Not even if you were convicted, you've just been arrested. But if you've never been arrested, your social media is clean, you can travel. You should be okay for travel. Let's get into my YouTube and Facebook questions. Aziz wants to know, I entered the country with no inspection and asked for asylum. I married a citizen later to get green card from VAWA. Is it a problem? Uh, travel outside of the US now. I had advanced parole before. You're safe to travel if you've never been arrested and you don't have social media posts that are anti-Semitic, that are against, any Trump stuff. Okay, there's the answer. Aziz also wants to know: is it a problem for a person that arrested by immigration of another country before he entered the US? If you've never been arrested in US or anywhere, like really arrested, not by immigration for a crime, then you should be okay. Josh says, while we, although, listen, I'm going to say this right now. If you have worries, if you're worried, right now is not the time to travel. I'm telling you right now, if there's even the smallest doubt in your mind, do not travel. Josh said, while waiting for the I-601A waiver to be approved, should we terminate asylum case or administrative law? Absolutely not, because there's no guarantee the waiver will be approved, but you could already lose your case for asylum, then you'll have no way out. Absolutely do not do this. Vahibhav Gaba says, the American attorney is it safe under Trump administration to do international travel and advance parole when I file for adjustment? Same thing that I just said. Same damn thing. If you're worried, if you've ever been arrested, if you've posted stuff, do not travel now. Now is not the time. Damien wants to know, after biometrics for work permit through I-485, the online portal now says 14 months is my processing. It's been 14 days now. Still waiting on approval for the work permit and social. How long before they're approved? It could take 1 year, Damien. So 14 days is very little. It could take up to a year. Manish wants to know what happened for VAWA renewal EAG. Is it any effect? Yes, it's in effect. Yes. Porphyria says, I traveled to Mexico. I have gang member tattoos from when I was young. I don't have felonies. Am I good for travel? Absolutely not. Porfirio, please, with your tattoos, now it's all over the social media and the news that they're stopping people with gang tattoos and they're like turning them around. They could start deporting you if you travel. I'm so sorry, don't do it. Then he wants to know, I'm a citizen, the immigrant was floored, he made me walk half a mile to the hospital, I find him and had pulmonary embolism. Said my MS is a sexual disease, no help for citizens. Yeah, some immigrants are assholes. I'm sorry. Vanya Kumar says hello. Hello, hello. Mohammed MK says, I have an interview based on asylum. Is that a bad thing or good? Should I worry about it? It's an interview. You have to prepare and you have to be able to prove that you deserve whatever you're interviewed for. Narcissus, thank you. Michael says, what happened to your work permit if you change your pending 130 into VAWA petition? Hopefully your attorney will like hold your I-35 in abeyance, which means like sort of freeze it in an active status, and then your work permit should be okay. We usually transfer it over. Mani Kumar says, hello, I have a green card, but I'm on asylum with administrative hold. Would it be an issue if they're going to reopen the case? Their lawyers talking about this on social media nowadays. They're reopening cases. If you have a green card, you should just ask to terminate your asylum case and not to leave it on administrative hold. Okay, that's all I'm seeing here. Uh, Aib Havsharia 7 says, what is the situation for one who files for asylum today? I mean, it's a situation that, you have to prove that you have a case. It can't be like a bullshit case. It has to be a real case. That's the situation. Uh, O. Simukov says, is it reasonable right now to file a writ of mandamus lawsuit to force scheduling of an asylum interview? I think so. It's okay, I think. It's still working, the writ of mandamus. We do it sometimes, especially when you're like really waiting way too long, like egregiously long, like over 7, 8 years. Derek Money says, I'm a green card holder. This is on Instagram. Derek Money, hello. I'm a green card holder since 2024, and in 2019, I had a charge of domestic violence, but that was dismissed, and I travel with no issue. No, you cannot travel. I'm worried that because of your arrest, even though it was dismissed, they can stop and charge you with nothing and start doing it. So no, I would not marry. I would not travel out there. No. Mohammed wants to know interview based on asylum. Is it normal? Normal what? Like what's normal? I think normal interviews. Yes, yes. Question from Rakwa Khan. My aunt applied for my mom as a relative petition. She filed I-130 and included me as well. The time when she applied for me, I was 17. For my mom, I was included when I was 17 years old. So when my mother will be called to face the embassy, will I face will I have an interview at the same time? It depends how much time has passed. It's likely that you aged out and you will not be able to travel with mom and dad because the relative petition is like 18 years. If you're from India, it's even longer. So by the time they call for an interview, you're going to age out of being under 21. You have to just have your mom and dad file for you. I don't think you'll be able to get the benefit of that 130 petition like U.S. citizen sibling of your mom. All right, you guys. Well, we spent some time together today. I answered some questions. Okay, I see more questions. I will answer a few more before I say bye. Okay. Sandy told Salty Harris says, my friend had a ticket for using the phone while driving. My ticket was dismissed. Is she safe to travel? She should be okay to travel. This is not an arrest. This is a driving. She should be fine. All right. I think I'm going to say good night and good day. Yeah. So again, I see the question from Rafa Khan. She included you, but you will age out and freeze your age. I understand you were 17 years old when the petition was started, but it's not going to help. Derek Money says, Can I get deported even though the charge was dismissed? All right. Yes, right now they're deporting people just for getting arrested. It's not even important anymore that the case was dismissed. The arrest itself is important. And this is because they passed this new law called the Laken-Riley Act. Laken-Riley Act says that even if you were just arrested, not convicted, it's enough for ICE to like put you in removal proceedings. You're gonna have to be proving to the judge that stuff like that. I'm gonna so it says, look, the Lake and Riley Act is a U.S. law. It's new. It's from 2025. It requires the U.S. Department of Homeland Security to detain, arrest illegal immigrants, and by the way, they could probably hold you if you're green card holder too. Admitting to, charged with, or convicted of theft-related crimes, assaulting a police officer, a crime that results in the death or serious bodily injury, like drunk driver. So it's potential that they could stop you and then like investigate. So that's the idea here. Uh, so I posted this on Instagram in the comments. You can see where I posted it. Right there, the Lincoln Riley Act. Okay, another question. Mohammed says, I filed for my I-485 for a green card based on asylum status granted, and they sent me a notice that I will be interviewed. Is that okay? Yeah, it's fine. They will ask you questions about your status. Baba Traore says, how long does it take to get a decision from the National Benefits Center after responding to 58? It could take a long time because after the National Benefit Center, the case usually goes on to other places. It could take a few months, okay? Alrighty, guys, I think I'm going to wrap up for today. Rawa Khan is confused. My aunt and I talked to an attorney in LA, and she ensured that I will be called as she's wrong. So it depends how long the petition was pending, Rawa. If your aunt's petition was pending before it was approved for 10 years, it's possible. I agree with the attorney in LA, but sometimes these petitions get approved very quickly, and that is the only time they subtract from your age at the time of the. So let's say you were 17 when you got it. It takes like 20 years, right? So at that time, you would be like 37 when they call you for this interview. At 37, they will subtract from your age of 37 the time that it took to approve the petition, not the waiting time for the visa to be available 20 years, but the time that the petition was pending. So if the petition was pending for like 3 years, they'll subtract 3 from 37. That still makes you 34. You're not eligible. If the petition was pending for like 7 years, they'll subtract 7 years. 37 minus 7 is 30. 30 is way over 21. You're still not eligible. As soon as they find out that you're over, like way over 21, and then the subtraction of the time, that's called the Child Status Protection Act. Under that law, they subtract the time your case was pending, not the waiting time. So when they find out that you're already way over 21, and even the subtraction of the processing time for the I-130 doesn't help. Okay, so the petition was filed in 2018. Thank you for letting me know. Okay. Current visa bulletin, let's play with real numbers. Filed in 2018. If you are from non-India, okay? If you're not from India, then brothers and sisters of citizens, they're working on cases from 2007. Okay, I'm sorry, it's not 18 years. It's um, well, So, okay, 3 plus 15, 18 years. Okay, 18 years. I was right. Okay, 18 years from the day you filed. If you're from India, it's 1 year more, so it's like June 2006. Okay, so 2018 plus 19. Okay, I need to add on the calculator. 2018 plus 19 equals 2037 is when they will call your mom and your dad and you for an interview. At that time, they will look at your age. You said you were okay. 2037 is you're going to be like 36 years old, I assume. Okay, 36 minus the time that I'm on 30 is not yet approved. So once it's approved, that's the time you subtract from 2037. If that makes you over 21, you're not going to be eligible to come with your parents. You age now. I hope that was very clear. Really tried to. And you're from Bangladesh. Okay, so it's 1 year less. So it's not 19, it's 18. So you'll be like 35 when they. So I don't think you're going to make it. All right. If you want a consultation and you want to know for sure, call our office. I can't in a live show give you advice. Questions from Penny. Where do I send my letter to revoke my affidavit of support? He's a bigamist. Penny, schedule a consultation. We definitely can help you. Okay. I petitioned for my husband. Okay. I'm glad to see that you're figuring all this out. Thank you for letting us know. We share your pain. Give us a call. We can talk about how to report them during a consultation. Thank you. And thank you, Rawa Khan. And to everybody watching today, thank you for your time. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Prepare your questions, prepare your topics. We will talk about it in 2 weeks. I will save this live so you can rewatch it in full later. Okay. I have one last question by Maggie on YouTube. Thank you for watching, Maggie. My mom is 76 years old. She never worked. She has an interview for a tourist visa. What documents will she be required to bring? Passport, divorce, stuff like that, but also proof of her anchor in her home country. If she's got a family, if she's got a job, what she doesn't. She said she never worked, if she got property. What does she have in your country or her country to come back to? That's the kind of paperwork she needs to bring to that interview. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye.